Hey guys, welcome to Delaney Studios online art classes. So today we are looking at week 1, term 2, 2020. So today we did a drawing of a hand. Now I'm going to teach you a really tricky way to do this particular drawing. So just make sure that you've got all your tools handy. So you're going to need your 3 pencils. So I have a 2B. This is a mechanical pencil or a pacer where you can just click the end and you'll get more lead out this end. So it is actually a 2B lead in there. Then I've got my 4B pencil for any medium shading. So anything that's grey, use your 4B. And then I have my 6B pencil, and my 6B pencil is used for everything that is black, the really, really dark shadows. So 3 different pencils for 3 different reasons. 2B to start, 4B for your medium shades, 6B for your darker shades. Then I have my paper stumps. They're also called smudging sticks. So I have 2 different sizes here. So I have a 12mm and I have a 6mm. So the older they are, the darker they get. So there's no difference between the 2 ends. They're just twice as useful. This one's a nice new one. So you can see I've only just started to use it. And you want to make sure that you use the side of the smudging stick rather than the tip, unless you've got something really fine to do. And when I've got something fine to do, I do use a smaller one. If you don't have a smudging stick, aka paper stump, you can just use a tissue. You simply get your finger, wrap the tissue around your finger, and then you're going to use your finger as the smudging stick. You can also get a point and twist it. Twist it right up. Then you have a fine point as well, and you can use that to smudge in fine areas. So it works just as well as this paper stump or smudging stick. I also have 2 different types of rubbers. I have my Kneadable rubber, which is your squishy grey rubber, and you can literally knead it. That's why it's called a Kneadable. So you can pinch and push it into different shapes to get tiny little highlights out. So highlights are the opposite of shadows. Then you've got your white rubber. The white rubber is for rubbing out completely. So you want to get rid of lines, use your white rubber. So that's all the tools we're going to need. So I'm going to use my 2B lead. So 2B I call my Goldilocks pencil. Not too hard, not too soft, it's just right. Really easy to rub out but doesn't smudge everywhere. That's why it's great for planning and starting any artwork. Always start with your lowest number first. So what we're going to do, step number 1 is always plan. Make sure your page is portrait, and you want a guideline. You want a top line and you want a bottom line to work out. That's where the top of my fingers are going to go, and that's where my wrist is going to go. Now we can break it down into shapes. That's step number 2. So you want to look at the hand, and you can see a large circular shape inside the hand. Then the fingers are all like sausages, but we'll break those down even further. I want to leave a gap for my wrist, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a nice large circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. It will get rubbed out later. It's only a guideline. Then we can work out a center line for each finger so we can get nice even fingers. The thumb starts in the side and comes up and has a little bit of a curve at the end there for the nail. The index finger starts on the edge of the circle and it comes straight up. It's not the tallest finger, so it's not going to touch that top line. The fingers definitely do not have to touch the top line. Middle finger, leave a nice big gap. And this finger is straight as well, and it's the tallest finger, so it's going to come up a little bit further. Then you've got your ring finger. This time, these 2 are straight. This time, this ring finger is slightly out on an angle, and so is the little finger. So they all don't go straight up. They start spreading around the hand. So I'm going to put the ring finger in at a slight angle. And remember, it's not as tall as the middle finger. And the little finger on the side again, slightly coming out. It's a small finger, so don't do it too big. When you look at the anatomy of a finger, you have a knuckle, then you have a bone, then you have another knuckle, bone, knuckle, bone. So we're going to divide up all these shapes inside each of these fingers to break them up. We're going to leave the thumb out of this because it's actually a little bit different. So what we're going to start off with first is a nice oval for the bone, and then a circle for the joint, oval for the bone, circle for the joint, oval for the bone. Make sure you start at the bottom and don't do your ovals and circles really skinny. Keep them quite wide. So oval, circle overlaps like the number 8. Oval, this is a bone. Oval, oval, because it's a bone at the end of the finger. It's fine if your fingers go above your center line, it doesn't matter. Now move on to your middle finger. Oval, circle, oval, circle, oval, ring finger, oval, circle, oval, circle, oval, little finger, oval, circle, oval, circle, oval. The thumb is a little different. There's a main joint at the lower part of your thumb. So there's a big joint there. There's a bone, joint, bone. So it's only 4 sections this time. The joint in the thumb is quite large because you want to be able to get that lump in. So that does need to be circular and it does need to be a little bit bigger than your other ones. And we have an oval for the bone. And we have a circle for the joint. And we have an oval for the end of the thumb. You can have it on any angle you prefer. It depends on what your thumb looks like. If you have a more tilted thumb that goes a bit further back, you can do that shape or you can do a bit straighter, totally up to you. You can use your own hand as inspiration for this too. This is an older hand because you can see the veins and you can see the tendons. There's lots of wrinkles in the fingers. The more interesting characteristics your hand has, the more fun it is to draw because there's more detail. So now we're up to step 3, which is joining the shapes together to make them make sense. So what I want to do first is get my wrist in. Really common thing people do is make their wrist too slim. So just make sure you have a nice wide wrist. Then you're going to come up and touch the side of your finger. Now we're going to come up. You don't have to touch every single shape that you come across. If you feel like it needs to be a bit wider, you can just skip those shapes. In between the fingers, there's a little happy mouth or a U, and then it comes back up again, up and over. Down we come, join it with a little U, and back up we come. Down, join it with a U, up we come on that side, down on the other side. Now when you reach the index finger, the lower section of the index finger, bring that join into the thumb joint circle. Then with the thumb, you want to start above your thumb joint circle. And then join it to the wrist. Then you take this opportunity to get rid of all the lines on the inside. All your planning lines are gone now. They've given us the right size and shape for our hand and our fingers. So rub out the bottom line, top line, the circle, the center lines, and all of the circles inside. So there should be nothing left inside. Okay, So now we've got a basic outline. It doesn't matter if you've rubbed out a bit of the hand, that's okay, we can bring it back in again. So what we want to do now is get some detail in the hand. So get your 2B pencil and we're going to draw in some nails. When you look at the nails, you do have a smiley mouth and then you have 2 straight lines coming up. You can still see skin either side of your nail. You can decide if you want to do a longer nail or a shorter nail. All you need to remember is if you want to do a shorter nail, you just end the nail below your finger line. So if you wanted a short nail, you'd end it here. If you want a longer nail, you can bring it right up to the end. And that's what I'm going to do today. Put that back in. Now we have a smiley mouth. You don't want to do it too low down or too far up. Just in between is good. Straight line, straight line. Smiley mouth, straight line, straight line. Smiley mouth, straight, straight. Smiley mouth, straight, straight. The thumb is half a nail. So it's going to have a half smiley mouth and then it's going to come up. And it's going to have a peak added to it on the corner here, because it is the side of the nail you're seeing. Then from here, we can skip up to our 4B pencil, my 4B here. Now what I want you to do is hold your 4B as far back as you can where the end of your pencil sits comfortably in that soft part of your hand. What I want you to do is a colouring in motion on the left-hand side. Very, very softly. It's really important to go soft because when we go to smudge this, if you've pressed too hard, it's almost impossible to smudge. I'm going to come in with a bit of a wrist shadow. Don't do your shaded areas too skinny. You want to do about half of the finger. Don't forget in between the fingers has a bit of shadow. And up this side as well. In between. About halfway, really soft. In between the fingers. Half of that. The thumb's a little different. So we have a bit of extra skin sort of folded over like wrinkles. And there's a split between the top and bottom section of your thumb. So it's like a little arrow. Then we're going to really lightly colour that. And I'm actually going to colour down the other side of the thumb. Then you're going to get your paper stump or smudging stick or tissue, and you're going to smudge the whole hand, even the nails. Just hold my smudging stick with my hand on top. So it's okay if your nails go a little dark, we'll do highlights in those later. So we're going to use a kneadable rubber for that. So if you don't have a kneadable rubber, you can use a normal rubber. It will work. Or you can use Blutack. Blutack is a good alternative. For any small areas, you can just hold your smudging stick normally, like a normal pencil. If you go outside of the lines, it doesn't matter with your smudging stick because you can just rub out any little extra smudgy bits. Okay, from here, I'm going to build my shadow even more. So I'm skipping up to a 6B. I'm going to go over just the edges of my hand because I really want my hand to pop. The darker you do your shadows, the more realistic and photographic your drawings are going to be. Really dark shadows and really bright highlights. That's the difference. 6B is really soft and smudgy, so it comes off the pencil very easily. So you always want to do it last. And smudge it again. Might seem like a really shadowed hand, but when we start getting the highlights in, it actually all dies down and looks like it all makes sense. Okay, so from here we can use our 6B, and I'm going to do some knuckle shading. So there's some knuckle shading in here, 6B, really softly. It's just one stripe for the little finger, one curved stripe for the ring finger. Middle finger is actually the letter Y. Again, do not press hard with your 6B, you don't need to. Straight line for that one. I'll do a little extra one there. There's also tendons in your fingers. If you spread your fingers out really wide, you can see these tendons. That's what these little highlights are. So what I want to do is we need to put a shadow down first. So with your 6B, just really softly, super, super soft, colour down from the knuckle shadows to the wrist. And then you want to smudge those with your smudging stick or with your tissue. The more you push, the smoother that shadow appears. It doesn't look like it's been coloured in. And we will do some highlights on this too. Really going over and over and over, really pushing that lead in. Okay, so while we're here, we can use our 6B to do some wrinkles in our fingers. So with older hands, there's going to be more wrinkles, but each finger, in the circles that we drew, that's the joins, that's where your wrinkles are going to be. There's 2 up near the top of the finger, just under the nail, leave a little gap. And then there's between 4 and 6 lines in the middle of each of these knuckles. So 6B. And you're going to do 1, 2. Sad mouth, happy, happy. Really softly. You don't want to press too hard. 6B is already much darker than your 4B. Straight lines. Sad mouth straight, happy, happy. Line, line. Sad mouth, straight, happy, happy. Makes it look like it's curving over the knuckle. Straight line, sad mouth, straight, happy, happy. Smudging stick. You just want to smudge over the top of each line just to make it sort of blend into the background a little more so it doesn't look like a really harsh outline. And we will do some highlighting around those as well. And don't forget the thumb. The thumb is going to have half wrinkles. That's half of the finger. Okay, then from here we can do some highlighting. So highlighting using your Kneadable, what you want to do is pinch it into a skinny line like that. And I'm going to pull down on the right hand side of each of the tendons down to the wrist. This is what gives the illusion of it raised with a shadow on one side. And if you think, oh gosh, I think I pulled out too much, you can just smudge over the top either with your tissue or with the smudging stick. Then we also have highlights on the knuckles. So you're going to take your kneadable rubber, you're going to pinch it into a point, not too long, something like that. And we're going to take out 2 highlights either side of the little finger knuckle. You can use your normal rubber for this too. If it's not rubbing out, just use your normal rubber. I like to pinch and push new sections on my kneadable rubber with each bit I'm rubbing out because it does fill up. 2 on the middle finger one, 2 on the index finger. And again, if you think you've pulled out too much, just a light run over it with the smudging stick or tissue just pushes it down and makes it a little bit more subtle. The next thing we can do is some veins on top of the hand. So you can see the veins on this one here. So it kind of looks like a tree branch. So being an older hand, the fat actually is not the same level as a younger person's hand. So you can actually see way more detail in an older person's hand. So this is an older person. I want to get my rubber. I have a nice new rubber, so I'm going to use this nice edge. You can use your Kneadable for this. It starts up the tendon and then it splits. It comes up this way. And don't worry if your lines are really thick because we can fix that up afterwards with a 6B, which is what I'm going to show you. Okay, so that will do. Then you get your 6B pencil and you're going to very softly, very softly colour either side of your vein. And then when you colour away from it, get lighter and lighter and lighter as you come out. This way you can reshape your veins. You can make them a bit thinner or you can change the direction of them if they're not quite right. I'm going to thin that one out. Very softly, because 6B is already so dark, you do not need to press with this. I'm literally just colouring either side of that vein and then colouring away from it, lighter till it disappears. Softer. And from here, you can smudge. I like to smudge over the veins as well because I don't like them being super white. I just want them to be slightly highlighted. Really work that lead around the edges of the vein. If you feel like you're losing your tendons, you can get your Kneadable rubber in. You can pull those out again if you need to. I'm getting a really round hand. Then we need to do some highlights in our knuckles. So again, you can only really do this with a Kneadable rubber, but if you have a rubber and you're willing to sacrifice part of it, get scissors and you can actually cut a corner, maybe get your parents to do it because it's quite dangerous. You can cut a little corner and that gives you a really sharp piece, but otherwise Blutack works really well, or just leave it, it's fine. So I'm just going to pick out little highlights underneath and above my wrinkles. This gives the illusion of it looking rounded. Softens up some of that smudging too. Knock back the darkness of the wrinkle lines if you feel like they're a little dark. And don't forget the thumb. You can also use your Kneadable rubber or your normal rubber, both work, to take out a little bit of highlight in the bone sections of each finger, so just in the center. So again, makes it look round. If it's got shadow on both sides, it's going to look really round. Highlight in the center. And with the thumb, it's through the middle. If you feel like you've taken out a little bit too much, you can always use your smudging stick and smudge over the top if it needs it. Then from here, we can do some highlights on the nails. So I'm going to take kneadable rubber, and normal rubber works fine too. You're going to pinch a little section like that, nice and skinny. And with the nails, you're going to take the top of the nail off and down the right-hand side. Top, right-hand side. Top, right-hand side. Top, right-hand side. This makes it look like the nails actually have a shine. With the thumb, it's on the left-hand side. Now we need a little bit of definition. So 6B again. I'm going to very lightly go around the edges of your nail. You don't want to go too heavy with the 6B because otherwise you'll look like you have real dirt stuck in your nails, which you don't want. So a little bit of lines there. You can do a little bit of shadow on the white line of the nail if you decided to do longer nails. And the last thing you need to do is a table shadow. So as you can see, your hands are going to leave a shadow. So get your 6B. Never outline a shadow. You just want to colour along it. And you can always rub out the edges if you want to change the shape. So 6B, and pressing quite hard. And you can smudge your shadow if you'd like it to be a bit smoother. But generally 2 coats of pencil will do the job. This really does make the shadow does make the hand pop. So really dark shadows and really bright highlights is the key. Nice and close to the finger. So you don't need to outline it, you're just colouring it. Down the side. Next side. Getting nice and close. You can make your shadow come out as far as you'd like it to. With the thumb, just on the left-hand side. Okay, so that's all you need to do. So you've got a nice dark shadow in the background that really does make your hand pop out of the page. So you've got really bright highlights and really dark shadows. That's how to create a really complicated hand without tracing around it, because usually I would get you to trace around your hands, but this is just on another level of advance. So it's a good way to test yourself. So that's it, guys. So put this in a safe place. Make sure you sign it and you date it so you have a record of when you did it. And again, this is week 1, our first lesson of term 2, 2020. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.